Is care different to foster parents? Is care just like a kid's home essentially?
No. Care is a child who is in a children's home, or in a foster placement, or in a kinship arrangement, or in a. I think young offenders might come in under that as well.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Why those?
Because you have secure units.
Yeah, I've heard of secure units.
Yeah, so you have secure units. So I think that might come up. I'm not sure exactly, but so it's not really different. So you have children's homes, but they are mainly for they're for older children who can't manage to live in a family unit because they're so damaged. So the majority of children will not be living in a children's home. They'll be living in a foster family environment. And also you have mum and baby units as well. I don't know if you've heard of those.
That's where I was.
What's that?
So if you have a mum that's very disorganised, maybe on drugs, and she's saying, I can do this, they'll say, okay, we're going to give you a chance. Because, like I said, to remove a child from their birth parent is very severe. So they have these mum and baby units.
It's funny, my sister's a paediatric community nurse, and she puts the measures in place. Where she goes in the special measures, like, this is going on, we're going to give you a chance, and then she'll call social services like, I don't think this is really working.
Yeah, so the mum will go into what's called a mum and baby unit, and the workers there will be assessing you all the time. And they try not to intervene too much because they want to let you stand or fall on your own actions. So they'll see, and there's help there, but you have to ask for it. They're not going to intervene. You have to ask for it because they want to see if you can ask for help, because that's a sign of strength, being able to ask for help. So if at the end of the 12 weeks or the 6 months or whatever it is that you have harmed the baby or you've done something dangerous, then the child will go into foster care, or they might have an adopter lined up already, and then you'll just go your own way.
Well, I was going to say, for the foster family, isn't it with the kids that are currently adopted, isn't it a lot of choppy change if you're doing short-term foster and you're constantly having new kids come in and out?
For us, it wasn't. It was actually quite nice because a lot of the children, even though it's short-term's anything from 1 day to 3 years.
So were you a fosterer before you became an adopter?
Yeah.
Okay.
We fostered for 7 years before. We did short-term, children with disabilities mainly, because they really struggled to get placements. So like I say, it wasn't for us, but then if you struggle with that type of thing, then you can become a long-term foster carer, or you can do mum and baby placements.
Was it ever painful for you that, obviously your adopted kids, you have full oversight, but was it ever painful for you to have a set of foster kids and then they go on to other places and then life hasn't really worked out like how you would have wanted? I
will say this, if you are a foster parent and you are not sad when the child leaves, you're not doing it right. That's because I don't understand how you could have a baby. Like we had babies that came straight from the hospital.
Okay.
And you have a baby and you look after it and it laughs and it coos at you, and then you're just going to be like, nah, when it leaves. You're not doing it right. And every time a child left, it was painful for me. But it's not about me. It's about them.
My mum and dad always tell me the story of when they went to pick me up for the final time from my foster. I call her my foster mum, the lady I mentioned, Linda. Apparently, when they came to pick me up for the last time, like she literally just opened the door, put me out like that, and
take her.
Yeah, and it was painful for her. But obviously, because we all lived in Croydon, we used to see her like at the supermarket and things, and hi Linda, she'd be so happy, and she still sends birthday cards and everything. These foster mums, they really do care, but they understand that it's not about them.
And I also say this as well. People think, but it's really painful for the social workers as well. You imagine you've taken a child who's in foster care from a safe environment, safe, and the court's told you have to take that child back to their birth parents, where it's not a safe environment. I've seen social workers crying, like really upset that they've not been able to argue their case in court, that house is not safe, and they have to take that child in a car, knowing that child, they might get called saying that child's died. They know that's not a safe environment, But if you can't, you know, like how courts go, it's not about who's right or wrong. It's like who's got the best lawyer, basically. So it's very just stressful for them as well.
I read some stories quickly where kids who are adopted would often say that they feared that they'd be given away if they acted poorly.
Yeah.
Is that anything you ever went through? Or?
Yeah, all the time.
So you thought it feels bad that you didn't just give me away?
Yeah.
And how'd that affect you?
You become a people pleaser.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And also, I feel like this is something that's not talked about much. In the adopted realm, we'll call it, the adopted space, there's all these books from birth parents, there's all these books from people who've adopted. There's not many stories from the people who actually go through it. And one thing that I think is quite taboo, that isn't spoken about, is feeling like you have to perform. So you might feel like you have to perform in a certain way that these parents would want their natural child to behave, or you might have to conform into certain things with this adopted family because you feel like you have to. Now, you know, I don't want to say it felt like that all the time, but that is something that happens. And you know, I think it would happen either way, whether the family was very open to who you are and you being different, or whether the family wanted you. Either way, I think there is going to be a bit of it kind of feels like a performance. And I think the intentions for wanting to adopt have to be absolutely crystal clear. My dad always says to me, I say, why did you adopt? Why was that an option? Because my mum can't have kids, but he could have done. And I said, why did you choose adoption? And he said, well, I just wanted to give someone a chance.
So you're the only one of your mum and dad that, essentially?
Yeah. I'm an only child, and it's just me that they've got. But all of my cousins and everything, they're all natural family. So, you know, don't get me wrong, I had a great time growing up. My family never treated me any different, but you do feel different. You can't help it because you know you are different. You know that something's not quite balanced, if that makes sense. You know, even things like, I experienced it when my cousins started to have children. I'm the youngest in my adopted family by about 10 years, so that's another thing that sort of distanced me apart. When my cousins started to have children, people say, oh, don't she look like so-and-so? Don't he look like so-and-so? And when you're adopted, it sucks.
Don't look like anyone.
It sucks. Not hearing, oh, you look like so-and-so. I've never heard the words, oh, you really look like so-and-so. And when you're adopted, you dream of hearing that one day because you've just never had it.
Can I just, you know, when you were saying about, you know, people pleasing, I think what a lot of people don't realise is there are 83,000 children in care and only 2,000 children get adopted every year.